The galaxy ignored this starship until a human mechanic awakened its true power. It was quiet, almost too quiet, except for the faint hum of distant machinery somewhere deep in the station. Eli had spent most of his life repairing small cargo ships, but today he was looking for something bigger, something different. He had heard rumors from the station workers about a starship that had been left behind decades ago. Some said it was nothing but a pile of rust and broken engines. Others whispered that it was a relic of a lost civilization, a ship that was too advanced for anyone to understand. Eli didn't care about the gossip. His curiosity had always been stronger than caution. Pushing open a heavy metal door, he entered a vast space that seemed to stretch farther than the hangar's walls suggested. And there it was, the starship. It was enormous. Its hull towered above him like a sleeping giant. Dust and rust covered its surface, and strange markings ran along its sides, markings that seemed almost alive, shifting faintly under the light. The ship's shape was elegant, unlike any human or known alien design. Its curves suggested speed, its bulk suggested strength, and Eli could feel a pulse under his feet, like the ship was breathing quietly in its long slumber. Eli ran his hands over the hull. "What are you hiding?" he whispered. "Why did everyone forget about you?" He had no answer, only the eerie silence of the abandoned hangar. Eli's instincts told him to be careful, but he was too excited to stop. He circled the ship, examining the engines, the wings, the enormous doors that led inside. Most engineers would have given up here, labeling the ship as unusable, but Eli didn't see junk. He saw potential. He saw a puzzle waiting to be solved. Finally, he reached a hatch, large enough to step through. The metal felt cold under his gloved hands, and it creaked ominously as he pried it open. The interior was dark, but as his flashlight cut through the gloom, Eli's jaw dropped. The ship's corridors were enormous. Panels lined the walls, filled with unfamiliar symbols and interfaces. The air smelled of ozone, mixed with the faint scent of something organic, something alive. Small lights blinked weakly along the ceiling, as if the ship itself was trying to wake up. Eli stepped inside carefully. His boots echoed across the empty hallways. Every step felt like he was walking into history, into a place that had been untouched for decades. He ran his hands over the panels, tracing the strange symbols. They didn't match any human language he knew, but there was a logic to them, a rhythm that felt almost musical. Hours passed as he explored, and Eli began to notice something remarkable. The ship wasn't dead. It was dormant. Certain panels would flicker when he touched them. Tiny motors hummed under the floor. Systems that no one had activated in decades were responding to his presence. Eli's mind raced. "This isn't just a ship," he murmured. "It's alive somehow." He found the main control room eventually. It was breathtaking. A circular chamber with a transparent dome looked out into the stars. The controls were unlike anything he had ever seen, glowing faintly with stored energy. In the center of the room was a massive console, covered with a layer of dust. Eli brushed it off, revealing symbols that pulsed faintly under his fingers. Without thinking, he pressed one of the symbols. The room shivered, and a low hum filled the air. Lights flared along the walls. The ship seemed to respond, almost as if it were greeting him. Panels rearranged themselves, sliding silently into new positions, and holographic projections flickered to life. Eli stumbled back, startled. A translucent figure appeared above the console. It wasn't human, but it wasn't threatening. It was more like a guide, made of shifting light and symbols. What are you?" Eli asked, heart pounding. The figure did not speak, at least not in words he could hear. Instead, streams of symbols floated around it, slowly arranging themselves into shapes he could understand. Diagrams of the ship, star maps, energy flows, and then a simple phrase appeared in English: "Awaken me." Eli's hands shook. "Awaken you." The ship had been waiting for someone capable of understanding it, of connecting with it. and somehow it had chosen him. Over the next few days, Eli worked tirelessly. He cleaned panels, repaired corroded circuits, and studied the alien technology. The ship responded to every adjustment he made. It hummed, vibrated, and shifted. Holographic projections gave hints of its past. Missions exploring distant galaxies, encounters with unknown civilizations, experiments in energy manipulation. Eli realized that this ship had once been a marvel of the galaxy, forgotten only because others were not ready to understand it. At night, Eli would sit in the control room, staring out at the stars. He imagined what it would be like to pilot this ship through the galaxy, to explore worlds no one had seen for centuries. And the ship seemed to sense his dreams, glowing faintly as if sharing his excitement. One evening, as Eli was examining the main console, he noticed a sequence of lights forming along the floor. The ship was guiding him, showing him which systems to activate first. His heart raced as he followed the pattern, flipping switches, connecting circuits, and aligning strange devices. Then it happened. A deep resonance filled the hull. The ship shuddered gently, and a pulse of energy ran through the floor, up Eli's legs, and into his chest. The lights blazed brighter. Holograms floated all around, showing galaxies he had never seen, stars that existed only in theory, and pathways through space that defied known physics. Eli fell back onto the floor, laughing in disbelief. "You're alive," he whispered. "You really are alive." The ship's energy settled into a steady glow, and the hum became almost melodic. Eli realized that this was no ordinary starship. It had intelligence. It could think, learn, and adapt. And now, after decades of silence, it had awakened because of him. Word of the awakening spread slowly through the station. Workers peeked into the hangar, whispering among themselves. Some were afraid, some were amazed, but Eli didn't care. He had connected with the ship in a way no one else could. In the days that followed, Eli explored deeper. He discovered that the ship could repair itself at an incredible speed. Corroded metal became polished. Damaged circuits reconnected themselves. Systems long thought broken began to function as if they had never failed. The ship was teaching him as much as he was teaching it. Eli worked tirelessly, mapping the Starship systems, learning the alien technology, and building a bond with the vessel. He gave it a name, Aegis, after the legendary shield of protection from old Earth myths. The name felt right. This ship was not just powerful, it was protective. It had the potential to change the galaxy without destruction, without fear, just through its presence and capabilities. By the end of the week, Aegis was no longer a forgotten giant. It was alive, vibrant, and full of promise. Eli stood in the control room, staring out at the stars, feeling a sense of purpose he had never felt before. The galaxy had ignored this starship for decades, but now, thanks to one human mechanic, it had awakened. And Eli knew that this was only the beginning. The hangar was quiet again, but it no longer felt empty. Eli Voss moved carefully through the corridors of Aegis, the enormous starship he had awakened. The walls hummed faintly under his touch, as if the ship itself were alive and aware of his every movement. Every panel he examined, every system he touched, seemed to respond to his presence. Eli had never worked on anything like this before, and yet a strange confidence filled him. "This is incredible," he murmured to himself. "I've never seen technology like this, and it's listening to me." Days turned into nights, though time felt different inside Aegis. The ship did not rely on sunlight, and Eli had long since stopped noticing the passage of hours. Holographic symbols floated in front of him, shifting slowly as he worked, displaying the Starship systems in ways that were both confusing and mesmerizing. Slowly, he began to understand them. The first breakthrough came when Eli discovered the energy core. It was unlike any power system he had ever worked with. It didn't simply burn fuel. It seemed to draw energy from the stars themselves, converting it into a gentle pulse that ran through the entire ship. When he touched the core, he felt a warmth, like the heartbeat of the ship. Eli realized something important. Aegis wasn't just a machine. It was smart. It could learn, adapt, and even anticipate his actions. Every time he adjusted a circuit or repaired a broken panel, the ship improved itself. Small systems repaired automatically, lights brightened in response to his mood, and even the temperature adjusted to his comfort. This is more than a starship, he whispered. You're alive. He spent hours learning how to communicate with Aegis. At first, it was just lights and symbols. But slowly, the ship began projecting holographic images of distant galaxies, star clusters, and alien worlds. The first time Eli saw a hologram of a planet orbiting a dying blue star, he gasped. He could see clouds swirling, oceans sparkling, and strange structures that looked like cities, but unlike anything humans had built. Eli knew immediately. This ship had explored places no human had ever dreamed of visiting, and now he could access that knowledge. But understanding was not easy. The systems were complex, alien in ways that human engineering had never encountered. Panels required precise adjustments, and circuits needed careful alignment. A single mistake could shut down the entire system, or worse, erase important information. Eli worked slowly, methodically, driven by a mixture of fear and awe. The first test of Aegis' intelligence came unexpectedly. Eli had been adjusting the propulsion system when the ship shivered, and the panels lit up in a sequence he didn't understand. A holographic map appeared, showing a course through an uncharted section of space. Symbols flickered rapidly, as if asking him to confirm. He paused, considering. "Are you suggesting a route?" he asked. The ship pulsed softly in response. Eli realized it was guiding him, not forcing him. The map wasn't dangerous, it was an invitation. Eli smiled. "All right, Aegis, let's see where you want to take us." Over the next few days, he focused on fully activating the ship's systems. He discovered that the shields could generate a protective field around entire planets, not just the ship. Aegis engines could manipulate gravity, allowing for incredible speed without harming nearby celestial bodies. And most astonishing of all, the ship could analyze and repair itself at a pace that no human or machine could match. Eli spent hours running simulations. He watched as Aegis rebuilt a damaged wing in minutes, rewiring circuits that had been inactive for decades. The ship seemed to understand his intentions perfectly. If he wanted to see the status of the engines, they appeared as a glowing map of energy flow. If he wanted to study star patterns, the walls transformed into a holographic observatory. One evening, as Eli sat in the control room, he realized something profound. "You're not just powerful," he said softly. "You're benevolent. You want to help, don't you?" The ship pulsed, a warm glow spreading through the hull. It was as if Aegis had understood every word. The first real demonstration of Aegis' abilities came when Eli decided to test its navigation. He had always dreamed of visiting a nearby asteroid field that had been abandoned after a mining accident decades earlier. It was a dangerous area, filled with unstable rock formations, but he wanted to see how the ship would handle it. As he plotted the course, the ship began projecting a three-dimensional map, highlighting safe passages, gravitational currents, and energy anomalies. Every choice Eli made was reinforced with real-time adjustments. The ship was teaching him how to pilot it, while also protecting him from potential harm. Flying through the asteroid field was breathtaking. Light reflected off the jagged rocks, casting patterns across the control room. The ship moved gracefully, gliding and weaving in ways no human-piloted vessel could achieve. Eli felt a thrill unlike anything he had ever known. He realized that humans, with curiosity and creativity, could achieve incredible things, especially when paired with a starship like Aegis. As they emerged from the asteroid field, Eli noticed something new. Signals from the galaxy were reacting to the ship. Other starships scanned the area, curious about the sudden energy readings. Some tried to approach, expecting a weapon or a threat. But when they observed Eli's calm control and the gentle hum of Aegis, suspicion turned to amazement. "They're watching us," Eli said quietly, though he felt no fear, "and they're starting to understand." The next breakthrough came when Eli discovered the ship's knowledge database. Hidden deep within the core were records of ancient civilizations, star charts older than any human archive, and designs for technology humans had only theorized. It was like holding the galaxy's greatest library in his hands. Hours turned into days as he explored these records. He saw stars being born, planets forming, and civilizations thriving long before humans had even left their home world. He realized that Aegis had been an explorer, a protector, and a teacher. And now, through him, its legacy could continue. Eli began experimenting with Aegis energy systems. He discovered that the ship could manipulate solar winds, magnetic fields, and gravitational currents. With careful calibration, it could assist planets in stabilizing their rotation, clean polluted atmospheres, or even repair ecosystems. The potential was limitless, but Eli knew he needed time to master it. Every night he would sit in the control room, gazing out at the stars, feeling the ship vibrate gently under him. It was as if Aegis shared his awe, experiencing the universe alongside him. He realized that humans, with their ingenuity, persistence, and empathy, could unlock power that no one else could imagine. One day, while studying a distant nebula, Eli noticed a faint signal. It was a distress beacon from a small, forgotten colony on a nearby planet. The colony had been struggling with energy shortages and failing infrastructure. Most of the galaxy had ignored it. Most species would not have cared. But Eli felt a surge of determination. "Let's help them," he said. Aegis pulsed warmly in response. Together, they devised a plan. Using the ship's energy manipulation systems, Eli projected a temporary shield around the colony's energy grid, stabilizing it instantly. Then, with precise energy flow adjustments, he repaired broken machinery and restored vital systems. The colonists were astonished. They had never seen technology like this. They watched as the massive starship hovered silently above them, guided by a single human mechanic. Eli realized in that moment that humanity could inspire hope, not fear. They could solve problems with creativity, compassion, and intelligence, rather than conflict. Word began to spread. Other colonies, other planets, even distant starships began to take notice. The galaxy had ignored Aegis for decades, dismissing it as a forgotten relic. But now humans were proving their worth, not through weapons, but through ingenuity, courage, and curiosity. Eli spent every moment learning, exploring, and improving. The ship's systems responded instantly to his ideas, adjusting, optimizing, and expanding. Every new discovery brought more excitement, more understanding, and more responsibility. He realized that this was no ordinary job. He was part of something greater, something that could change the galaxy forever. By the end of the second week, Aegis was fully awake. Its systems hummed with energy, its holograms displayed star charts across multiple galaxies, and its protective fields could stabilize entire planets. Eli stood in the control room, exhausted but exhilarated. He had unlocked the true power of the forgotten starship. And yet he knew this was only the beginning. There were worlds to explore, civilizations to understand, and mysteries to uncover. Aegis and Eli had the chance to redefine the galaxy's limits, not through conquest, but through brilliance, kindness, and the quiet power of human determination. As he gazed out at the stars, Eli smiled. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. It had ignored this starship. But together, human and machine, they would show the universe what was possible. The galaxy was changing, and Eli Voss could feel it. Ever since he had awakened Aegis, the forgotten starship, word had begun to spread quietly at first. then faster than anyone could have imagined. Energy readings from the remote sector near the abandoned hangar drew the curiosity of nearby colonies and patrolling starships. Observers expected a weapon, a threat, a challenge, but what they found instead was unlike anything they had imagined. Eli stood in the control room, hands resting lightly on the glowing panels. The ship hummed beneath him, alive, responsive, almost joyful. Holograms danced across the walls. Star systems, planets, and colonies Aegis had cataloged during its centuries of sleep. "Let's show them what we can do," Eli said softly, and the ship pulsed in response. Their first mission was to a distant, struggling colony on a planet named Orenda Prime. Decades of poor governance and natural disasters had left it on the brink of collapse. Its people lived in fear of failing infrastructure, energy shortages, and dwindling food supplies. Eli had learned of them from the ship's vast archives, and he felt a sense of responsibility. Humans, he knew, could use their intelligence to help, not to dominate. Flying through the atmosphere, Aegis moved like a living guardian. Its massive hull reflected the sun's light, casting shimmering patterns across the planet below. Eli guided the ship to hover over the main settlement, watching as holographic displays outlined the colony's failing systems. Energy grids flickering, water purifiers clogged, and transportation networks failing. Eli smiled. "Time to help," he said, flipping switches and activating sequences he had only recently learned to master. Aegis responded immediately. Energy beams flowed gently into the colony's power stations, stabilizing the grids. Water systems began repairing themselves, filters clearing and pipelines humming with renewed life. Vehicles powered up again, their engines smooth and quiet. The people of Orenda Prime looked up in awe, pointing to the enormous ship in the sky. Eli stepped out of the control room briefly to speak with the colonists via a holographic projection. "This ship belongs to no one but all of us," he said. "It can help, it can protect, and it can create. If we work together, we can build something amazing." The people stared wide-eyed. They had expected soldiers, raiders, or perhaps a galaxy policing authority, but instead, a human and a starship were offering aid. Smiles spread across faces, hope rekindled in hearts that had long forgotten it. This mission was only the beginning. Over the next few weeks, Eli and Aegis traveled to multiple planets and colonies. They repaired broken infrastructure, assisted in food production, and stabilized energy grids. All the while, the galaxy watched. Distant starships approached, scanning Aegis readings, but they saw no weapon, no danger. Only efficiency, only intelligence, only care. It became clear. Humanity was not here to dominate. Humans, through curiosity and creativity, could solve problems that no one else could. The galaxy began to take notice, first with suspicion, then with respect. One day, a delegation from the United Galactic Council arrived. Their sleek ships hovered near the hangar, and representatives boarded via teleportation. Eli met them in the main control room. The delegates were tall, elegant, and curious, representing species that had long viewed humans as insignificant. "We have observed unusual activity," one of them began, voice calm but questioning. "Energy readings unlike any starship we have encountered. Reports suggest significant interventions on multiple planets. Is this true?" Eli nodded. "It's true, but no one is in danger. Aegis and I are here to help, not to harm. We repair, we stabilize, and we explore, that's all." The delegates studied him, skeptical at first. Then slowly, they turned to the ship itself. Aegis responded with a gentle pulse of light, projecting holograms of the repairs it had completed, of the thriving colonies, of civilizations that had been saved from collapse. The council members were silent for a long moment. Finally, one of them spoke. "This is remarkable. Your species, humans, have demonstrated creativity, ingenuity, and empathy beyond anything we imagined." Eli felt a warm surge of pride. Not from power, not from control, but from the recognition that humans could make a difference through intelligence and compassion. News spread quickly across the galaxy. Humans who had been ignored, underestimated, or dismissed suddenly became figures of curiosity and admiration. Eli and Aegis were no longer just a human mechanic and a forgotten starship. They were symbols of what humanity could achieve. But Eli was not content to stop. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries that even Aegis had not yet encountered. Together, they plotted a course to the uncharted nebula, a region rumored to hold remnants of civilizations lost to time. The journey would be long and full of unknowns, but Eli felt ready. Inside Aegis, he explored deeper systems, uncovering archives of alien technology, star maps older than any human record, and knowledge of celestial phenomena that defied human understanding. The ship taught him as much as he guided it. He learned to manipulate gravitational fields, harness solar energy, and navigate cosmic currents with precision that no human starship had ever achieved. During one experiment, Eli discovered the ship could stabilize unstable stars, redirecting their energy safely and preventing planetary disasters. He realized the implications. Aegis could protect entire star systems from natural catastrophe. This was not weaponry. This was stewardship. His work drew attention not only from officials but from scientists, explorers, and scholars across multiple species. Delegations requested access to Aegis data, hoping to learn from the knowledge it held. Eli insisted on a simple principle: knowledge should be shared freely, for the benefit of all, not hoarded. One memorable day, Eli guided Aegis to a small planet threatened by a collapsing magnetic field. The planet's inhabitants were unaware of the danger, living as if nothing were wrong. Using the ship's energy manipulation, Eli stabilized the magnetic field, protecting the planet from potential devastation. Holograms projected above the planet displayed the protective field for all to see, and the inhabitants celebrated with joy and wonder. "This is what it's about," Eli whispered. "Helping, exploring, creating, not fighting, not destroying." Even as the galaxy recognized the human potential, Eli remained humble. He was just a mechanic after all. But he realized something important. Humans had something no other species had mastered: adaptability, creativity, and the courage to act when others hesitated. That was why Aegis had responded to him, why the galaxy now had reason to reconsider its opinion of humanity. Over time, Eli and Aegis became explorers, teachers, and protectors. They visited forgotten colonies, repaired abandoned cities, and discovered new worlds. The ship's records revealed planets that had been untouched for millennia, and together they mapped them, recorded histories, and preserved knowledge for future generations. The story of Eli and Aegis inspired countless humans to pursue exploration and discovery. They proved that even a single individual, armed with curiosity, skill, and determination, could awaken possibilities that the galaxy had long ignored. Eli often sat in the control room, gazing at the stars. The ship hummed gently, lights pulsing in harmony with his thoughts. Together, they had achieved what no one else could, showing the galaxy that intelligence, compassion, and human ingenuity were forces more powerful than fear or weaponry. The galaxy had ignored Aegis for centuries, but now humanity had awakened it. And in doing so, they had awakened a new era of hope, creativity, and discovery. Eli smiled as he prepared for their next journey. The stars stretched endlessly before them, full of possibilities. The adventures had only just begun. For the first time in history, humans were recognized not just as survivors, but as innovators, pioneers, and protectors of the galaxy. And all it had taken was one mechanic, one starship, and the courage to believe that even the forgotten could change the universe. And so, under the glow of distant stars and the pulse of a living starship, Eli Voss and Aegis soared into the uncharted reaches of space, ready to explore, ready to create, and ready to show the galaxy the true power of humanity.